Welcome to the Good Dad, Bad Dad podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Armand Sheffy, and my other host, as always, is here with me, Eric Schaefer. And we're two very different fathers, finding common ground in parenting special needs kids, sports, nerd culture, and who knows what else. But one thing that we do know, that any day you could be the good dad or the bad dad. We hope you enjoy. Well, Eric, here we are. Man, it has been a minute. I know y'all out there in podcast listener land are like, what's up with the latest episode? Well, it's here. It might have taken a little over a month this time.
Life gets in the way, man, right? Life has
right.
a way of getting in the way of everything.
Yeah, and a whole lot of stuff can blow up on you in a moment, and you reshuffle and you reprioritize. And we are excited to be back at it with another episode. There's going to be some fun stuff, but there's also going to be some old grumpy stuff going on here on this podcast.
This is going to be your typical old man, get off my lawn type conversation that we're about to have.
Oh man, well, you know what? Without further ado, let's just have it, Eric. So what's going on, man? Like, break it down for the folks.
I am all fired up about technology right now.
Yeah.
I struggle with some of it. I understand some of it. But it kind of seems that every 6 months that goes by, everything is updated and upgraded, and you have to relearn everything. And I guess it all started when you get your first iPhone, right? Like,
sure.
Like, holy cow, like you have access to a computer in the palm of your hand, right? And then the next thing you know, it's like, holy cow, it mimics the Mac.
Right, yeah.
And then it's an iPad. And then they come out with, all these other devices. So, in the last podcast, I mentioned that I had switched jobs, and unfortunately I had to turn in some company equipment, and a lot of that equipment was tied to my old Outlook account at work, which isn't a big deal, but I had to do a lot of backing up to iCloud, and I went, I don't know, maybe a day or two without a phone, which was kind of nice and refreshing because...
Right, like disconnected. Wow, what is this?
Oh, no one can call you, no one can text you, no emails. It's like there's no responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
So we go to Verizon because that's where my wife and her family have their plan, and we decided to get a 13 Pro. They tried to talk us into waiting, an extra 3 weeks to get the 14s, but the additional cost, it just wasn't worth it, right?
Right.
So we get the 13 Pro, we set it up. I'm loving life. I look at my nightstand and I'm like, I have my Apple TV charging. I have, the remote. I have my watch charging. I have my earbuds charging. I have my phone charging. Did I say watch?
You said your watch. Did you say your iPad?
Watch. My daughter's iPad. I had 6 or 7 different things charging. And I said to Diana, I want one of those all-in-one charging units where I can hang my watch on, and
right. It's got a dock for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but as soon as you buy one of those, they'll create something new that then you have to buy a new dock.
So my story just, we get it. We picked out the one. And because
so you did get one of those? You did get one?
Oh,
I didn't know that was actually going to that. I thought that was just like a hypothetical. Okay, my bad.
So we looked on Amazon. Apple doesn't make a device, right?
Right.
They suggest Belkin because I'm sure there's kind of an agreement between, the two companies, but I didn't like the look and how it charges, and I didn't like any of that with Belkin. So we went with, just an off-brand on Amazon that got a lot of good reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I set it up. Now you're using the Apple charging cord for the watch. That's how you charge it, but you have to run it through the device, which isn't a big deal, but it shortens the cord for storage. And the watch is charging, my phone's charging. You can charge your Apple TV remote on there. You can charge your AirPods. Life is good. Well, 2 weeks into it, I noticed my watch isn't charging anymore.
Mm.
And my watch is a version 3. So it's old. It's got its miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the watch for a lot of the health conditions that I have, like for my heart, right? So
Right.
I said to Diane, I said, I don't know what's going on. The thing's just not charging. She goes, well, are you sure it's sitting right? And I'm like, yeah. So, now with some of the features on the updated iOS version, you can charge your watch and look at it on your phone and see that it's charging. It's not charging.
Mm.
So I swap out and get a brand new cord for the watch. Still not
Hoping it was that. Oh no.
So on the back, there's a USB-C to a USB cord.
Oh, meaning like you don't have that?
I have that.
Yeah.
I had to go out to the store and I had to buy it. So I get the cords, swap everything out. So now I got the Apple USB-C from the wall to the device. I've got the new Apple Watch cord to my watch. And then I get a message on my watch that says, charging is not supported on this device.
I've seen that multiple times. Yeah.
So I call up Apple. That's an hour that I'm never going to get back in my life. I explained the situation. They can't remote into your watch. They can just give you suggestions. Maybe your watch is past due. That drives me up the wall. Like, you're just making watches now that crap out after 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm already in the whole $30 for the charging device, $40 for the cords.
Oh,
and now the guy on the end of the line's like, you got to replace your watch.
Yikes.
Go to the Apple store, right? All of that's in my notes, in my iTunes account. So they're already almost prepared for me to come in.
Right.
You're going to have to get a new watch, buddy. That's what I'm told. $600 later.
You bought a new watch?
Well, I got the 8.
Okay.
Right? And then you include.
So they're at the Apple Watch 8?
8.
Oh gosh. Okay. So when you said Apple Watch 3 to me, I was like, oh, what is that, like a year or two old?
Mine was 3. And that was
the one that I had that just I'll get to my story. Okay, anyways, go ahead.
So Diana gets that I use it to measure my heart rate.
Yeah.
Well, now it does an EKG for me.
Nice.
It measures my oxygen.
What? How does it do that?
It's all oxygen sensor now on your on
I don't even know what that means. Like, how's it?
It tells you your oxygen rate.
Okay. Wow.
So
technology.
The whole thing is I've become so dependent now on technology, and it's kind of ruined, life, because if everything's crapping out after 4 to 5 years, you're replacing it, right? So when I text you and how I was all fired up, I'm sitting here at my desk. I'm like, oh, I have the iPad Pro, and I got the pencil, and I got the Macs, and the computer, and you look around and you're like, man, you're 10 grand deep.
Yeah.
So now it comes to our next problem, right? Since we gave our kids iPads for Christmas years ago, like nothing else matters. We don't know what to get them for Christmas. We have no clue. Can't come up with anything because they don't play with toys anymore.
I mean, there's nothing that so what For me, I mean, what about Kyle in like a game or something? Or
We're
is there a
doing a
game?
game. We're doing a gaming setup for him. So we got him a desk, we got him a chair, we got him a monitor, and we'll hook up, his switch to the monitor so he can
Yeah.
have, his gaming system in. But he's like, oh, I want a television and I want my own Apple TV. And then it's like, and you're following the same path that I'm following.
Yeah, so you could always just say no. There's that. There's that because the reality is um whether it's technology or not, what we as humans do is we just constantly upgrade and just want
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Whether it's a technology, like even if we took technology out of the conversation, and you're talking about, your car or your house or fill in the blank with whatever it is that you enjoy right now, and I don't mean just you, but I mean any of us, like the your heart like enjoys that, and then eventually you are dissatisfied with that when you recognize that there is something else that you could have, and you're like, but what about that? That's why it's like, I mean, like, life is so built on like this whole infomercial, but wait, there's more, like like that's that, and the whole um capitalistic machine is literally built around feeding us the more. Like they're gonna keep making more crap for us who are the consumers who want to consume more crap. Like
Well,
that's
yeah, you
that's it.
look around, right? Like we swapped out our thermostat for a Nest so we can remote in
Mhm.
and adjust as necessary. And then I talked to you about the Wi-Fi system that we put in, and you just start looking around and you're like, John Connor and Skynet are going to totally come and rain on my parade one day.
Right, right. Personally, I don't have that fear. I know. I don't know how much of it for you is a joke or how much you actually believe that that's coming. But I know there's a sense to which, AI is getting more and more integrated with our life. I can't go into a room right now without saying a certain woman's name, and a device starts speaking, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm intentionally not saying that name right now because there's one sitting right next to me. so so yeah, I get that. And I'm right there with you in regards to, you know a lot of times just getting the next tech. And like, so as we started this conversation, those of you listening, I'll probably also put this on one of our YouTube channels, but it won't have our faces, so you won't see what I'm talking about right now. But I do a live stream on another one of my YouTubes on Pastor Fury. If you go, you know what is it, uh youtube.com, and then that at symbol Pastor Fury, you'll see it. And I have one camera that I've used for that. I'm trying to show you right now, that I've used for that since I started doing anything on YouTube recently. Well, I shouldn't say recently, but it was like in COVID, during the beginning of COVID. I got that camera. Shortly after getting that camera, then I was getting like really excited and passionate about like trying to make a documentary and in filmmaking. And that's when like the development of Freedom Story Media started, and then the Freedom Story Podcast Network and all that stuff, yada yada yada. But like shortly after getting this camera, it was like, but wait a minute, dang, this camera isn't good enough to do XYZ thing that I need to do. So then I got this camera that I'm using right now, I really love. But then I realized, when I do some of my interviews, that I needed a second angle. So I have a second one of these new cameras as well. So I have two so like it can continue to go because there's always the next level that can take it to the bigger, the better, the nicer. I mean, because like this camera, while I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, this is dope, I love this. It costs like, I'm like ashamed to say it, but it costs like $1,000. and I got two of them.
You
And
don't have to
then
be ashamed. I mean, like I'm sitting here in Chino Valley, California, with all the Apple products.
yeah. But then the reason why I'm even like saying this because there's people out there who are, 2-3 years beyond where I'm at, and they're like, you only paid 1,000 for your camera, like, you know what I mean? Like, mine's 2-3,000, and then there's other people that like have like the Reds or these other, semi pro cameras that are like, mine was 10 G's. And then you got the ones that are making legit movies like, who are like, dude, we can't get a camera for less than 25 grand. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all levels, and it's all, relative. And I say that too, because at the same time, just before we got on this call, I'm messaging with one of our microchurch leaders out in Uganda. And he's like leading an orphanage where they have 32 kids. And he's thanking God that he's got a phone. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm here with like 3 cameras, and you know what I mean? It's like, so I think some of it, well, I mean, I know we're getting further than technology right now. One of the things that I feel like I keep getting challenged with, and I don't want to say I'm like ashamed about it, I shouldn't say that, but what I keep getting challenged with is, in the same way that I said to you, you can always say no to your kid about whatever. Like, that's the challenge for me and for myself when like there's the urge for whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I can always just say no, and like decide that, maybe I'll be content. Maybe I'll be satisfied with what I have.
But I'm always like following Apple on social media. Like, what are you guys gonna like? It's like a drug, right? You're like looking for the next big product.
Oh, so, yeah, it is.
Kyle wants his own pair of earbuds, and it's like, I'll go out and buy you the $15 pair. No, they got to be Apple, Dad, because everybody has Apple.
And so, in the same way that you're seeing it in him, like, it's in you, right? Like that because this is what we do. Like, we produce who we are, and like that's what her situation is with all of her stuff, and like Reese's phone was starting to act up, and she needed to get a new one, and then Layla was like, "Can I get a new phone? I need this." Like, so it's. I mean, and Mateo, that kid goes to school. That kid goes to school with the school issued iPad, a Kindle, and we just replaced his Kindle this past Christmas. Or was it Christmas or his birthday? One of the two. And I got his. Oh wait, no, that's not true. We didn't. We replaced both. Wow. So we replaced his Kindle last Christmas, and then he messed up his Samsung. So that's the third device. So he has the school issued iPad, a Kindle, and a Samsung tablet. The Samsung tablet was from my mom, who got it for herself, realized she didn't need it, wasn't really using it. It was sitting there. So pause. There's another picture of excess, right? Like, she bought this whole tablet. It's like, I don't even use this. It's just sitting here. So she's like, here, you guys can use it. Meanwhile, she had literally been paying for data service on it. So it's like, you can use it. And so she paid for like another year. When I called her just recently, because his tablet was acting up, because the kid dropped it in so many different liquids and things over the years. It was finally like, I'm done. So it was like, there's not enough rice in your cabinet to rescue me. So we
got to go down to Florida and put it to rest in the Disney pond.
We should, right, with Larissa's other phone. That's right. Oh gosh. But so we went ahead and went to the AT&T store and got another one, and we knew we needed to get the data connection on it, because he uses that on the bus all the time. where he wants to watch his YouTube videos and stuff like that, which he wouldn't be able to do on the Kindle because the Kindle only uses Wi-Fi. So anyways, and we replaced the Kindle, we replaced the Samsung. So he has these 3 devices, and then when he gets home, what's the first thing that he wants to do? He doesn't know too many words, but he knows this: phone. And then he wants to come and get one of our phones. And this kid will, if he is feeling up to it, he will take both of our phones. We'll be watching different videos. He'll often have one showing a movie or something on it, and then he'll get on the other one, go into like Snapchat or something, go to a funky filter that like inverts the image or does a negative picture, and then be watching the video on one phone from another phone, like looking at it through that camera, all the while having like his Kindle or his Samsung up and like playing maybe some word game or some rolling of the ball game where you got to roll it down a walkway. So yeah, bro, it's a thing. And it is a drug that we need to like go through some withdrawal from.
When I text you my setup here a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was even a week ago, like, I used to give Armand a hard time at work because he would have his 2 monitors, his Mac, his iPad, and his phone all firing, and I used to give him a hard time that it looks like he's in a spaceship. Now that's what our kids are doing.
Yeah, totally. That's what I just described. That's literally me just on the carpet. Like this kid he'll even like sync up the movies sometimes. Where he'll put them both on the same thing, and he'll like try to get them to play at the same time. So he's building his own surround sound system.
Nice. That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, man. He's next level. So just like our kids to take the best of us and amplify it, and sometimes take the worst of us and amplify it.
It's scary, because Kyle got, he got glasses in May of this past year, and they said that, his vision is, up close, he needs it, or when he reads, he needs it. But the doctor was saying, it's because of all the electronic usage, and it's just not here at home, it's at school. There's
right.
You go into schools nowadays, there's no more chalkboards. I think those are gone, but there's, everything's on a screen nowadays, and they have a projector on a whiteboard. And, when you're sitting in front of a screen all day, you're going to be like this at the end of the day, all squinting and trying to figure out what's going on. And
or best case scenario, like headaches or something like that.
Yeah. So, man, I was all gassed up on technology and how I really should buy some Apple stock because I seem to be investing, a lot in the Apple. And
thank you. I have some Apple stock, so appreciate it.
I got problems.
No, but man, you're not alone, man. Part of what I was going to say with my Apple Watch story. So I got an Apple Watch from, the company that you were a part of that I still work at a raffle. And I was like the only one, I think, that put in for it.
You put in like 50 tickets, right?
$40 for the tickets. I asked myself, like, okay, 2 questions. How much would you be willing to donate to this charity?
Yeah.
And how much, do you think is good enough for you to feel comfortable that you're probably going to win this watch? And I had to ask both questions, because if I put in that much for the watch and I lost, would I be upset? And then my thought was like, but it's going to the charity. So that's why I said, how much would I be willing to just give to the charity without me getting anything? And so I got the watch, and it was great. Loved it. But this was like version 1, bro. Like version 1, maybe version 2 at best. And I'm pretty sure it was even a version 1 actually. And it lasted me for a while, up until I want to say maybe 6 months ago, maybe. And the glue on the bottom of the watch where the sensor is for, at least I think all mine would do was like heartbeat or something like that, the pulse.
Yeah.
But the glue that attached that sensor to the back of the watch, it apparently was loosening. It was like, yeah, it's been a while, bro. And so that started to come off, and I was like, oh crap. And so I think I super glued that one night back onto the watch. I'm like, all right, man, I'm not done with this thing yet. And then the next day I was at the office, and while I'm at the office, the face of the watch like comes off, and it's like basically dangling, and it's still connected by the wires, but the glue for the face came off, and I was like, what the heck? So I then was like, okay, I have to fix this when I get home. But here's where I made the real big dummy mistake. I basically just like pushed it back on manually and was just like squeezing hard to kind of keep it on there, knowing it wasn't going to really stay. But I was like, that'll be fine. And it was totally fine most of the day. And then I get home and I go to take my jacket off and didn't realize that at that point, the face had like gotten off and it's like dangling. And so when I'm pulling my jacket off, literally the force of me taking the jacket off rips the cords that it was connected to. And I was like, oh,
it's over.
Yeah, it's done. That's done. And then I was like, so I can either pay whatever ridiculous amount to replace it, or I can just call it over. So then I went old school. I went backwards. And here's an interesting thought. We can always revert to older technology if we choose to, because I decided to go back to a Citizen Echo Drive watch that Larissa bought me when we first started dating. And it was like $400 or $500 watch at the time. And I love it. It's beautiful and it works. And it always tells me the time. And that's really all I need, because everything else was honestly a distraction anyways. So
yeah, dude. I mean, I bought it because, the version 3 I bought was basically for the heart rate, so I can constantly monitor, my heart rate and getting text messages at, your wrist without having to pull out the phone was convenient. And then when that crapped out, the version 8 like really helped out a lot. Now I can take all of my EKGs that I do now from my watch through my phone and send them right to my cardiologist, so he constantly has it.
So he gets the data straight out of
the watch.
Like you send him a report from it or whatever?
To a T.
Wow.
My machine to his machine. Your camera went out, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I was actually trying not to cause an issue with it, but go ahead, keep going. I can still hear you.
So yeah, I mean, the things that we can do now from it, it's amazing how the technology advances. And I know Tim Cook he's a diabetic, and he's been trying to come up with a watch that will, read your blood sugars and do all that. And it's going to be hard for him to do that, but I've been paying attention to the progress that he's been making. And I know Diana would be on board with that because, of her diabetes and whatnot. She's, seen what this new version is doing for me, and she loves it. And so, yeah, that's my old.
So is she going to get one? Is that what she's about to do?
What's that?
Is she going to get one then?
No, she's got a 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's got a 6, and she loves her 6. I mean, she got it 2 or 3 years ago. So, one of my first over text. I went on a work trip for my new company, and I forgot my credit card at home, my work card. And the convenient thing is I just downloaded it to my wallet, and I could pay for everything from my wallet. Well, then it prompts you from your phone to your watch. Oh, you don't even have to pull out your phone. You can scan everything from your watch.
Oh, that's dope.
And it's like, man, this whole watch knows everything about me right now.
Yeah, you know what? I never, I mean, as we're talking about technology, I never really got proficient with like Apple Pay and all that business. Like, I know it's there, I know I can use it, but I never got to a place where, like, I don't know, I used it on a regular basis or even felt like competent with it. Because I remember there was one time when we were, oh gosh, we were somewhere in like Gurney, and I go to Dunkin' Donuts. We were picking up donuts for a group of us, so we were getting like a dozen donuts, and then I ordered them, and then I went to pay, and I realized I totally did not have my wallet, and I was like, "Oh crap." What am I gonna do right now? And like the guy's like standing there, like trying to hand me these donuts and get money. I'm like, dude, I left my wallet at home, and Larissa didn't have hers. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you got Apple Pay? And I was like, yeah, I do. So how does that work? That's literally what I said to this guy as I'm in the drive-through. And then he's like, well, you go here and you do this thing. And I was like, okay, all right. And then it worked, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. But I felt like such an old fogey because I'm like, dude, I don't even know how the Apple Pay works.
It's scary, man. So I went to a trip, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and you book your hotel with a credit card, so you don't actually give them the credit card, right?
Right.
So I get to the place where I was having dinner. I went and grabbed Jimmy John's, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have my card. And I still had 2 days up there, and I'm like, man, I don't want to put this on my personal card, although we can manage the expense. But
Yeah.
so I called Diana. I had to pull into a parking spot and get out of the drive-through line. I called Diana. I said, hey, I need to set up like Apple Pay in my wallet. She goes, okay. So this is the first time we've done it. So I pull open, I get my phone out, hit the wallet app, and hit add new card. She read me the credit card number, read me the expiration and the PIN, and then all of a sudden the card's added to my wallet. I was like, that's awesome.
Right. Right.
So I get in line and I order, and I get there, and I said, you accept Apple Pay? And the guy's like, yeah. So now I don't know how to use it, right? It's in my phone.
Yeah. That was me at Dunkin' Donuts.
I said to him, I said, I see the little sign that you accept Apple Pay. I'm like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, I got it in my phone. I don't know how to use it. So he's like, open up your wallet and then double click the side button. Well,
Yeah.
it picks up on like your retinas. So, because I have sunglasses on, and it's like, it's not scanning. And the guy's like, yeah, take off your sunglasses. So I take my sunglasses, double click it, it picks up on my face. And he's like, hold it near the reader. And it went right through. And then I called Diana. I'm like, that's bad news right there, because you could do a lot of damage without having to go into your wallet.
Right. Yeah. It's gotten so much easier.
So it's nice because with my company card, it shows me all the transactions. But then I entered my own personal debit card, and I guess some banks have that feature turned on and some don't, so it's not on with my personal debit card. But um, I went to go return the rental car after that, and I had to fill up gas, and I left the card at home again, just right up to the pump.
I've noticed, when I haven't seen a lot, but I've noticed some of the pumps like that technically you have Apple Pay. Like I always see like these handwritten notes like our Apple Pay is down or something like that.
I went to the new Thornton's on 120 by Riverside Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
So I go there because I rented a car from the Enterprise up the road, and I'm like, man, I did it again. I left the card at home, because I have to have the Mag wallet on the back of my phone from Apple.
Because that's you.
And that thing only holds like 3 cards. So you need your debit, your health insurance, and your driver's license. You forget the work card at home, right?
I'm still old school with my fat, like, massive wallet.
Like this, like with
Oh yeah, I can't really close it.
So I said to the lady, I'm like, how does this work with gas? And she's just like, well, come scan your phone here, put in what you want to put in, and then if we go over, we'll credit it back. So
Right.
it's convenient, man. I was shocked and stunned at the same time of how easy, you know, all of that has integrated into our lives now. And the scary thing
Oh yeah.
is you lose your phone and you're losing everything.
Right. Well, that's why you got to make sure you got everything locked down. Specifically, I'm a big fan of the Face ID
Yeah.
because I do like that. Like, while you can hack my password, maybe like. Although I guess if the Face ID ain't working, you can put in the password.
But the nice thing now is with the Find My iPhone app,
Yeah.
you can disable everything if you have another device. So, you know,
Yeah.
if
And
you
I get notifications all the time whenever like there's a sign in, like when we're somewhere maybe bizarre and we sign in, or like if
yeah,
I'm trying to get in on another computer or something like that. So yeah, there's like I still forget that my debit card has the tap to pay. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And like these young people at these registers are looking at me like, you're an idiot, bro.
yeah.
Like,
I know, dude. I still
just
look at
put
the
it right
card.
here. Yeah, same here.
We went to Home Depot yesterday, me and the kids, to pick up some yard bags, and the lady goes, you know, the chip reader, you know, has a problem, so just tap. I went to the next register.
I'll take one that'll work. That's funny. And it's literally so much easier. Like it just eliminates all like signing or anything. It's just like 3 seconds and you're done. You know?
Courtney's staring at me like, Dad, the lady said just tap it, tap it. I'm like, nope.
Bro, I just saw who was it? Larissa last night was showing me a TikTok where I can't remember who the woman was because I asked her and I knew I recognized her. Some blonde, probably maybe 10 years older than us. And she's having a conversation similar to this actually on whatever talk show she was on. And she said, I was talking to someone at the register and I didn't know what I was doing. And they're telling me, oh, honey, you could just tap your card. And she goes, so and you guys aren't seeing me. So she's like, I just put my finger on my card and I tapped it. And she said the lady just laughed at her like, what is wrong with you?
It's funny, you know, because when the chips came out, right, on the car, like my parents were so reluctant to use it, right? They wanted to swipe.
Right.
But we were like, oh, we'll insert that. And now it's just the tap. It's funny how.
But we're reluctant for the tap, right? And we're still trying to do the tap. Yeah. It is funny though, man. Like that doesn't change. Every generation has like their reluctancies, the things. But this is what we're comfortable with, and whatever that new thing is like, I don't know about that thing. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the generation behind us, or like your kids are like, "What's wrong with you, Dad?" Like why would you do that?
Lady said, just tap it.
Right. Oh, man. Hey there. Sorry to interrupt your episode, but I just wanted you to know about the sponsor of today's episode. It's a part of the Freedom Story Podcast Network, and that's brought to you by Freedom Story Media. Freedom Story Media exists for small business owners and nonprofit leaders who don't have the time, talent, or top dollar to create the compelling media that they need to help grow their business organization. If that's you, let Freedom Story Media help by creating quality video, websites, and graphics at affordable prices so that you can experience freedom in life and in business. Go ahead and get a project started today at freedomstorymedia.com. Now let's get you back to today's episode. Well, kind of connected to all of the crazy technology, you have had some experiences with the joys of trying to watch some of your favorite sports on.
Dude, I am so tired of the streaming industry messing up NFL, MLB, NHL. I don't really watch the NBA that much, so I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with the NBA and their streaming. So, you know, as we've discussed in prior podcasts, I'm a huge New York Ranger fan, and I think the only reason why we have DirecTV is so I can watch the Rangers, because the NHL hasn't really had good streaming, you know, providers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I watch all their games, is through the NHL package. Always, every game until last year, where 3 games were on ESPN Plus. Not a big
Uh,
deal, right? I know how you are with password sharing. I get it.
and I don't have ESPN Plus though.
I thought you did, and I text
No.
him. I'm like, I text Armand this afternoon, and I was like, "Hey, you got ESPN Plus?" And he's like, "No." And that started a whole conversation of, you know, the game that I wanted to watch tonight was on ESPN Plus, and I can't watch it. And you know, I'm a fan, and we got into talking, you know, and I brought up baseball, and you know, I'm a Cubs fan, but I also pay attention to other teams. And the Yankees, you know, have this unique setup where their games are covered on 6 different platforms. And I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm a fan of baseball. So if they're
Yeah.
on, you know, and the Cubs aren't on, I'll watch it.
Right.
But if you're a true Yankee fan and you have to go to Apple TV Plus, Amazon Prime, ESPN Plus, ESPN on regular cable television, TBS, TNT, like you're spending over $500 for
Yeah, it's insane.
TV. And then, you know, you look at when I was growing up, was just on Sundays, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now they're on Thursdays. I've read, not this season, but next year, they're going to start on the day after Thanksgiving. They're going to start televising Friday games.
So they're gonna have Thursday, Friday, because they now also have sometimes Saturdays, right?
Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. So you get Tuesday and Wednesday of no football.
And it's like, okay, you know, some Thursday night games are on Prime, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Friday games are going to be maybe Apple TV.
Hmm.
Saturday games are typically on, you know, the free, you know, 32 or 2, or, you know, whatever your, you know, your local TV channels are going to be spending an obscene amount of money to watch their teams. And you know what's happening, you're going to see like TV and streaming starting to be cut, because like if half the Rangers games went to ESPN Plus, I can't afford DirecTV and ESPN Plus and
Right.
Hulu, and it's just, you know, I sound like the grumpy old fart sitting on his porch, but just one platform. Like if it's streaming, that's fine. I'll pay for one streaming platform, but
Right.
now I can't even take my service when I travel and watch, because DirecTV doesn't offer that.
You know what's interesting, and this thought is kind of like it's coming to me now, and I don't know if it's true, but the the reason that I don't know if it's really the reason, but the trend historically, right? We had TV was just free, and then cable started, which was like, and here's new channels, like all these new things that you didn't know you needed, right? So and then everybody and their mama was creating a new cable channel, and then you would just build out these cable channel packages through whatever your cable provider was, and then you would have monopolies on cable providers where they could just like gouge you with prices because there really was no other alternative for that. And then somewhere, and this is where it's great for me how it started, other than I guess Netflix, when when it had to have been Netflix when um Netflix started sending people DVDs in the mail.
Yeah.
Was the beginning of it, the end of everything. And because that started shutting down Blockbuster, and then they went digital. And when they went digital, it was all over. So now you had Netflix, the only thing that was streaming, and then you had cable. And slowly people started like leaving cable, not in droves yet, but leaving cable to go to Netflix. And then you started having other channels trying to create other services. And like, oh, well, we'll come up with a streaming service. And then before you knew it, now you start to have people in droves leaving cable because they're like, well, wait a minute. Why am I now the monopoly is like being busted, right? Because the monopoly was like gouging you with these crazy prices. And now you have these $5, $10, $15 alternatives. But there was only one or two of them. It's like, okay, you know what? I will be fine. I'll go over here. But then in response to that, all of these channels that were over here all stacked up on cable are now like, well, wait a minute. We are going to bring all of our stuff to our own thing, you know? And so you had stuff that was on Netflix now that's leaving Netflix because they're creating their own thing over here. And like everything that was Disney is off of Netflix because now Disney Plus has their own thing. And then Apple creates their stuff. And no longer are you having, you know, movies and things that are created for cable. Now they're created for these special streaming platforms. So you have to get that streaming platform in order to watch that original programming over there. So we've gone from this behemoth monopoly, like the centralized, you know, entertainment system to like all of these, you know, one-off independents. And in the end, it felt like at first it felt like, we're taking down the man, you know, like screw you, Comcast.
With my pitchforks.
Right. But now we've created 25 alternatives that when you add them all up, it's no better and maybe in some cases worse than cable, because maybe now you're paying about the same price, but you're not getting everything that you were getting over there in cable, and you're still paying for internet, which means now your bundle deals are kind of, you know, weakened because you're just doing internet, you know. And so it's a crazy situation now. But I never knew beyond the NFL that there were so many services and plans for those things. I always thought, because I never was in the market to pay for any of them, even in NFL. Like I think it was like Sunday game ticket or whatever. I was never gonna spend that sort of money for that. But I always thought that any of these other packages, that there would be a plan where you can like, yo, for whatever the obscene amount is, I get everything. And like make it a lot, sure, but like give me everything, you know? And it sounds like you're saying they don't even have that.
I think the NHL package is down to $130 for the season.
Okay, that's not too bad.
So that's like 82 games in a season, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at it game by game, that's a deal.
So there are games that are on TNT, so I get those, you know, the nationally televised games. There are games on Channel 7, ABC, nationally televised, ESPN, so I get all that.
But wait, that's not part of the game? What's it called?
That's my own TV package.
Right.
But now they have these one-offs, two-offs, three-offs, where, you know, ESPN Plus and Hulu get the broadcast.
But what's in the $130 package?
I get all of the games that are not nationally televised,
except for these random ones.
Yep.
So it's not all the games though. So that's why I'm like.
So I have my regular DirecTV package, right?
Uh-huh.
It gives me my local channels, and then your TBS, TNT, USA, right? ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News. And then I pay for the hockey package, which is, you know, $130. So between my regular package with cable and my NHL package, I get all these games, right? Except for the ESPN Plus games.
But with the NHL package that you get, it doesn't technically include the other ones because they know you're getting the other ones.
Yeah, right.
Is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't get the NHL package. Oh, you already said this earlier, I think. You can't get the NHL package without having DirecTV. It's like you got to have a DirecTV. So that's why their package wouldn't intentionally include those other ones because you already get those. This is like an add-on. This is a
but
in addition to those.
NHL,
so how is it that they can sell off one or two random other games that aren't part of this package suddenly?
Your guess is as good as mine because
that's bogus.
What MLB is doing is they have deals with Apple TV Plus and they have Prime, and that's what the NHL does. They have their deal with TNT now. They have a deal with ESPN, and your DirecTV Center Ice package. And like I lucked out having your standard DirecTV and then getting your package, but I'm not signing up for ESPN Plus so I can watch 4 games a year that are televised.
But you might, because I know you signed up for Disney Plus at the same time I did. So have you already, about the same time I did, has your thing, or did you already renew before?
I have no idea. I haven't gotten any notice.
I haven't either. I just was curious, bro. You should check. I was just curious, and I looked in my Disney Plus account, and it was like sometime this month the subscription renews.
I thought it was like the 9th or the 19th.
Well, bro, either way, that's it. Yeah, in a week or two. So the reason why I say that is because I wonder if there's a version of it where you do like a bundle. You know what I mean? Where because you can get the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus bundle.
Yeah, but that's another $13 a month. Like if ESPN Plus, they televise a lot of NHL games, right? Mm-hmm. If they came out and they said we have every NHL game, I'll move over to ESPN Plus.
Right, and that's why I'm confused that that's not a thing. But then as I say that, I know why it's not a thing, because the NHL, and this isn't just me picking on the NHL because you're seeing it with the NFL and MLB and everybody else, they know that they can get more money by selling off pieces rather than just giving the whole thing to one. Right.
Well, I mean,
because they'll all fight against each other. Like
the NFL made $2 billion off of CBS.
There you go. Right.
Exactly. Now granted, everybody, if you have regular TV with the rabbit ears, you get CBS, right?
And that's actually what I rock right now. So like I don't have rabbit ears, but I got like a $25 like one of those square things that I just stick on the window antenna from Amazon, and I get beautiful crystal clear image. And we found out, remember via our text messages, that my picture is coming in about 5 to 10 seconds before yours is, because yours is going through your cable.
Yep.
Because that was a little bit of a weird thing where I was like, yeah, and you're like, what? Oh yeah. But like, so that's what I do for my live games. But then I have the, I think they switched it to, it used to be called the Game Pass, but they switched it to NFL Plus, I want to say. And they also lowered the price, which I was blown away by, because I'm like, who does that? Like reverse inflation? That's deflation? Is this like a Tom Brady thing? But so
they'll just jack it up a couple years.
Right. But they lowered the price, and the product didn't really change. And what it is I don't get any of the games live through that, but it is basically an every game DVR where I can watch the full replay of every NFL game. I can also see the coach's view, which gives you like that screen where on every moment you'll see every single person on the field. And then I can also get, and this was my favorite thing, the condensed version. When I found that last season, that like saved my life last year, Because, bro, like if you aren't able to, like if I can, I want to watch every game live.
Yeah.
Like if I can't watch it live, watching the 3.5 hour version is painful. And it's like, oh, and I'm like trying to fast forward or whatever like that. But the condensed version, I get the whole game in less than 45 minutes. It's like, it's beautiful. And you, especially when you know it's being broadcasted with like your least favorite commentators, like a Moose Johnson or somebody like that. Because they are no longer part of the conversation, really. Because all of their yapping is happening between the plays, right?
So
I get the play-by-play guy. That's it.
When you talk about the condensed version, DirecTV had that.
Oh yeah.
God, 5 or 6 years ago, we had the sports package, and the sports package came with all your local regional sports channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for the Rangers, it's Madison Square Garden Network.
Okay.
And I didn't tape a game one night, and this is when I was coming home from a road trip from work, and I went on and I saw the game was on replay, and I was like, oh, I got the whole game minus all the commercials in like an hour. And it was like life changing.
Yeah. Totally. I love it, man. And I love that I can literally, so one of the things that I really appreciate is if I wanted to, while I would never, for some of these random games, I would never invest another 3.5 hours to see two teams I don't really care too much. I should say would never. Like maybe if I was watching it live, I probably would.
So here's the question that I have for you.
I'll watch the condensed versions of some of these other ones. I'll watch the Packers get whooped on for 45 minutes.
So DirecTV offers, so I think it's $130 for the NHL package.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you wanted to select one team, you can get that team's game for like 110. So then you'll only get the Ranger feeds.
Oh, for $20 less, you don't get the rest of the NHL.
I kind of feel like for $20, like
that's why they do that. Because they know no one's going to look at those two and be like, just give me the one team. I'm already in the 100. Like,
right.
Yeah, once you get up there, you're gonna go all the way to get everybody. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how they've got it all piecemeal and broken out like that.
There's a couple of content sites that I follow on Twitter that they're huge Yankee fans, and
they complain
like what
about
they
it a
have
lot.
to go through, like their content providers. So all of their content revolves around the Yankees. It's like amazing at like, what they have to do to watch every game, because let's be honest, if you're from New York, you're not going to every game unless, you got $100,000,
a bunch of money. Yeah,
tickets.
totally.
And it's 6-7 different platforms that you have to subscribe to watch the games. It's
yeah, that's too much.
I'm sure there's people out there that have all that, right?
Well, I'm sure there are. Absolutely there are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That ain't us. That ain't us.
Yeah.
But one thing that we did get to watch, if you don't mind if I transition.
Absolutely.
Black Adam. So I just finally saw it some random day during the week. I can't remember. It might have been like Thursday of last week or something like that. Or no, I think it was Sunday night. I went to watch it. And I mean, I'll start with my thoughts and then we'll get to yours, because I feel like I always have you go first. But this time, I actually enjoyed it. Now there's caveats all over the place, but I thought it was fun, more fun than I had expected it to be. I thought they had a good cast. I enjoyed the cast that was in there. I didn't think anybody acting wise destroyed it. I appreciated Pierce Brosnan a ton in that. I really thought he did good. I I even liked kind of the big buffoon of Noah Centineo. I only know his name because he was in a couple movies that my daughter and Larissa loved on Netflix. Can't remember what they're called. Something. It was like a
I
book
don't have
series that became a movie.
Netflix. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right. That's right. See, like we said, not everybody has all those things. So, anyways, so I liked his character a bit just because he was like a big fool. Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. Um, Issues that I had with it, I would say, um, I mean, it's still very DC. Um, when I say that, I mean more on the cheesy side of movies. I felt like and this is kind of an issue. I felt like it should have been more. I didn't think it should have been released as a solo project like this. After seeing it, I think he should have been introduced maybe in a Shazam 2 and then given his own solo project. Um, I thought they had a similar issue that Justice League had in that you threw a ton of brand new characters at us and we're supposed to connect with and care about all of them having seen them for the first time in this film. So, spoiler alert, like the loss of Pierce Brosnan, like didn't hit too hard. Like it just met the guy, like, okay. Uh, um, so I don't know. I don't know if I would have introduced all of these characters in this one either. I would have probably introduced him in Shazam and then maybe given some of them. I don't know, it just felt like a lot of people that I don't know anything about. And maybe this is like the reverse um of what MCU did with like the Avengers, where MCU did like solo project, solo project, solo project, solo project, then the group project. And maybe they're gonna do this, and then maybe we'll get like a Hawkman and then like a prequel of Doctor Fate or something. I don't
I
know.
think you'll
So
see
those
a
are
Doctor Fate before you see a Hawkman
probably, and I
because
think Doctor Fate's character is more worthy of it. Like there's so much
the
intrigue.
the reception that Pierce Bronson has had for his rendition of Doctor Fate, I think you'll see that before. So
And
I
and I
agree.
think people would want that. I think people would want that, especially with them killing him in the movie. It's like, well, shoot, give me a prequel. Like,
Yeah,
what was his story like before that? But go ahead. What are your
I
thoughts?
when you made the reference of DC throwing out all these solo movies, I kind of go back to Civil War with Marvel on how they introduced Black Panther, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I thought that was a great way to introduce a character that a lot of fans wanted to see on screen for a long
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah.
And they did it right.
Hmm.
And I don't think that DC did it right with Black Adam. I 100% agree. They should have built, it's obviously the world of wizards and magic, right? With
Yeah,
Shazam and Black Adam.
yeah.
I knew nothing about Black Adam, just nothing.
Right. None of us. I don't think any of us really did. Well,
And I
maybe some
think,
hardcore DC heads, but
yeah, I think you could have built a fan base, and I'm not going to say a following, but Shazam had a good reception.
yeah,
They cleared over $1 billion, and I think having Shazam and Black Adam on the same screen would have given the fans like you and I, who were fans, we're not diehard fans, but we're fans.
hmm,
It would have left us wanting more for his solo
yeah,
movie. But I kind of think DC took the angle of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, being the star power, and they were looking to hit a home run with it. And I think they hit a double. I don't think it
Yeah, I
was.
mean they made money and they're getting fan reception. They're not getting great critical,
Yeah.
reception from the critics, but they're getting good, really good fan reception. So it's not like yeah, I think saying they hit a double's a fair statement. Yeah. Like if you
I
had
think,
somebody in scoring position,
yeah.
they would have came home. But
I mean,
yeah.
it painted the character as he is not, a superhero, and
Yeah.
he is not going to take anybody's, BS, and he's
Yeah.
going to cause a lot of havoc, which, it was shown. But, when they came out with Justice League, you know, I was skeptical of seeing the Flash and Aquaman on the big screen. And I think DC hit a grand slam with Aquaman. I loved Aquaman.
Yeah.
I thought the cinematography was great, the GC was great.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a grand slam. I would say maybe I would call it a home run. Personally, I enjoyed almost all of it. There was parts of it when they were in the water world that I was just like, this looks cheesy. But like I thought in general, it was much better than I originally would have. If someone had told me before I saw anything from DC, they're making an Aquaman movie, I would have been like, oh, that's gonna suck.
Yeah. Would say the same thing. I mean, like
Yeah,
when we
yeah.
think Aquaman, we think of the nerdy character
Oh
in
yeah.
the orange and green tights with the blonde hair. But
Oh yeah.
DC got it right with
They did do that right. Yeah.
Jason Momoa. And, since Black Adam has come out, it's now public that James Gunn is going to be a co-CEO over
Yeah.
the DC universe. And I'm ecstatic that, not that they're ever going to be on level ground with Marvel, but you're going to see
Mhm.
better storytelling. You're going to see better integration with these characters. And they
I
tried
hope
to do
so.
that with Amanda Waller from Task Force
Yeah.
with this
Yeah.
movie. And I
And I thought that was good continuity of
yeah,
of them trying to draw those worlds together. And I just thought it was interesting how obviously connected it was to Shazam, and yet we've had, I mean, like, no, like, unless they're gonna put him in the sequel. Personally, I thought this sequel for Shazam should have been with Black Adam.
yeah.
Like that
Mhm.
should be like that's what we should be waiting for right now is the introduction of Black Adam. And then when we're like, oh, intrigued and like, wow, this guy was cool. Let's get more of his story.
Yeah.
And then you give us a solo project. But and I thought The Rock did a good job. I actually liked Black Adam. Like I liked him as a character. Oh, bro, I called it too. And okay, granted, I was in the movie theater alone. So so I had this thought and I was like, huh. And then I just let it go. So once again, spoiler, 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 spoiler. When the kid in the beginning was like up at the mountain and like the father came and like tried to rescue him from acting foolish there, I was like, they're not showing his face, but then there was a moment where you could see part of his face and I was like, he looks like The Rock. Is that The Rock? Like that was literally what I was saying in my head. But then it was a moment and we never went back to him or anything. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Until they brought it back and I was like, I knew it. And I'm usually not the guy who's right in the movies. Like I'm usually the guy who's just like, oh, what's going on? This is fun.
It was good. We went and saw it when Diana was in the hospital, and I had to Kyle really wanted to see it. Courtney didn't want to see it, so I had to bribe Courtney. You come see Black Adam with us. She really wanted to see DC superhero pets.
Ah, the Super Pets or whatever, yeah.
And I had no desire to watch it.
One of my coworkers, the new coworker in our team, her son really loves that movie, so she kept trying to tell me to go watch it with Mateo.
I said, if you come and watch Black Adam, I'll get you superhero pets at home. So, yeah, Kyle liked it. You know, I liked it. I thought the end credit scene was encouraging. You know, spoiler alerts. You
Yeah.
know, Henry. How do you say his last name?
I
Cavill.
think it's Cavill. I
Cavill.
don't even know. I never know how to pronounce it right.
His Superman character finally made a return with his actual face. Unlike
Yeah, I was just about to say, because, bro, doesn't this feel like the end of Shazam?
yeah,
This time we're getting a kind of his face, because that was a lot of CG
yeah,
on his face in that. So I don't know what the deal was. Is he still wearing a beard? And they're
a
trying
beard and a
to
mustache. Yeah. But I mean, it's encouraging because
yeah.
you know Iron Man led the way for Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Superman has to lead the way for DC. I just,
Yeah.
you know, you might feel different. Batman,
No, Superman's the guy.
you know,
Superman's always been the guy. Like,
and
yeah.
I hope they get it right, you know, and I hope they don't need a full reset, but they just need better ideas at the helms of these movies and these projects.
What they
And,
need is a grand narrative. Like they need a big, good story that works to develop these characters all across their extended universe. And I hope, like you said, James Gunn is going to be the one to kind of bring that thought forward, especially after having worked in the MCU and kind of see how that plays out, you know, between director and whoever's telling this larger story. I hope he can bring that over because I'm telling you, that is the big piece. Not even just, oh, their movies aren't great, but like they can come up with a good big story. Like when they you know tank a movie, you're still gonna watch it. Like I sat through every episode of She-Hulk. I'm just saying that right there supports why you need to tell a big story because that's the only reason a large portion of the fan base watched it was because they felt like they had to.
yeah, yeah. It you know, when Iron Man came out and the sequels and then the next movies leading up to Avengers, you know, I didn't know a whole lot about these characters. I didn't know
Yeah.
the storylines, but you know, they introduced all of these, you know, Infinity Stones, and then they had a, you know, like a finale that, you know, everybody was in awe of. And you didn't get that with Justice League. You got this
No.
crammed together story about mother boxes, and you could have developed the stories around the characters and maybe not identical to Marvel, but you can give the public like background on some of these characters. And you know, everybody knows Batman's story by now. We've had this conversation all the time. I don't need to see his parents dying constantly. I don't need to see the Flash's dad in jail. Everybody knows those stories. Build the characters, build supporting characters, and come up with a good, you know, finale.
You know, what you just said, I don't know why, was connecting in like a baseball metaphor. And you've already shared a couple of baseball metaphors with the doubles and the home runs and the grand slams. And the thought of like building up these characters and building a story, like I think that's why they just keep failing at it, is because they like in the MCU has like we're talking a baseball metaphor here. They have a general manager who's built a lineup, and their thing isn't like, all right, you're my leadoff guy, I need you to hit a home run, and you're up next, I need you to hit a home run. And no, they're like, you get on base. You know what I mean? And like, hey, I need you right now to go ahead and do a steal, and then we're gonna have a sacrifice bunt over here, and then this guy, like, they're gonna win the game. You know what I mean? And like DC, like they haven't had like that big master thought of this, and like they just keep handing the bat to the next man up and saying, "Win the game." like win the game right now. And it's like, bro, like not everybody's meant to do that. Like not every story should be trying to do everything and say everything. Like you just need to continue to move the bigger story further down, and like get on base.
Like to go off of that, like when the first Suicide Squad movie came out, like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It got so-so reviews.
Yeah.
But they were so enamored with Harley Quinn that they rushed development on her solo movie.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were trying to capitalize on the success of the first Suicide Squad, and it bombed. And then, it makes you start thinking like they just don't have the general manager's vision of how they want their universe to lay out. And then you get the Suicide Squad, which was
made you want to commit Suicide Squad.
But then you get one-offs like the Joker, which was phenomenal.
Right. Well, and that's because every once in a while you give the bat to a guy, he will hit a home run. But like, but then you get 5 strikeouts in a row because you got everybody swinging for the fences, and it's like, like, bro, just bunt the ball.
You get the Matt Reeves version of Batman, and yes, that was a long movie, but it was good.
Yeah,
like I enjoyed it, and now you're going back to Ben Affleck. You're just confusing people. Oh, it's not a part of the universe. Oh, it's loosely part. And
why in the world would you intentionally disconnect the best DC movies from the universe? Like, why are you telling me that the Joker and the Batman are not part of this universe that you're building when like they're 2 of the best? I mean, the only other ones I think that would even be in that conversation would be like, well, another one that's disjointed, the whole Christopher Nolan trilogy, or Wonder Woman, which is now one of those that's maybe in, unless they're going to reboot again. I don't know what they're doing. Like, I really don't know.
I haven't heard zero on Wonder Woman 3. Like, nothing.
Because they had Wonder Woman 2. Gosh, like what were they doing there? You took like the best thing you guys did in years, and I never saw it again. I saw it the once. That was enough.
I enjoyed the Joker.
I thought it was great.
Movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed Batman. I enjoyed the deleted scenes where they brought in the Joker, but they've got another actor, and you're going to start. Fans are going to be like, "What are we doing here?" Like. Where Marvel, I think, has that general manager that's, we've been here before, we know what we're doing.
Right. And we're gonna be patient and like that's so, and here's where it proves itself out too. And this is why I hope they stay and they actually have a strong finisher, because right now would be if DC was at the helm in Marvel, you would have a whole bunch of like crazy things happening, because what's happening in Marvel right now is the fans aren't feeling the game right now as much. You know what I mean? And it's like, so do you just completely shift gears and try something different, bring in a bunch of pinch hitters? Or are you like, no, I trust my team. I trust our plan. I'm going to keep going with it. I don't know. But I think we've got Feige at the helm, and he believes in his vision, and hopefully he takes us to
I'm hoping
the show.
We all enjoyed She-Hulk. Courtney loved it because it was a show centered around a female. And
I hope people hearing this are not hearing that I did not like it because it was a show centered around a female. I really enjoyed Ms. Marvel.
It went nowhere. Like, it went absolutely nowhere. Too many.
And bro, and I could see that show though. Real talk. I could literally see that show getting 5 seasons. Like I could see them doing that. Because like it's as long as you just know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, it's not gonna be your high quality. It feels like and Agents of Shield early on when the very first part of Agents of Shield, after watching the Avengers and then seeing this, it was like, what is this? Like, this feels like super B level, you know. But then the storyline they started building and writing was quality. But I just remember the first part of it, like feeling like, oh, this is like I'm watching the CW all of a sudden.
I think they could have gone in another direction. And obviously, you know, they did it for a reason. But if the Hulk and, you know, Bruce Banner was involved a lot more than the first and last episode, I think viewers would have been pleased that he was involved. Then you don't have to give us all of the cameos from Wong and you know, maybe you put Daredevil in. We didn't need all those cameos. And
Right.
the end of the movie or that series is just like,
although I'll say this, I really appreciate that Wong was in it. I'm loving Wong, and then especially with the Wong and Madison. You know, we've had that. I mean, that right there is the only thing that I would keep from She-Hulk. I don't need. I mean, okay, and then maybe the true fact of what is his name, Scar,
yeah,
the son. Like, I mean, granted, he looks weird, but like the fact that he exists and that they're introducing that whole other storyline, those are keepers for me. I didn't need Daredevil in it like they had it. Like, I felt like you should have just saved him, because now what you did was you kind of tarnished him for some folks. So I really wish they hadn't have done that.
I
But
100% agree with you, and it's not often we agree, but that, I mean, they're developing Planet Hulk or World War Hulk.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing, and I hope he gets his solo movie, because I think if they do it right, that could be a blockbuster for Marvel.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, people have been crying for it for a while now. So
but let's all be honest, this was just filler. For an
I mean, I felt like it was, you know, in a way of like how What If dropped, you know, like What If wasn't like you needed it. And it was just a bunch of connected / disjointed, you know, episodes that maybe were some fun in there, and some of them ended up bearing fruit into some of the bigger, you know, movies, like where some characters showed up there. But like, if you were going into that expecting it to be like an epic series, like, you'd be disappointed. And now we already see What If season 2 is coming. So like, in this very similar way, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear about She-Hulk season 2. Because like, you could literally, it's a courtroom drama. Like, it's a lawyer drama, comedy or dramedy or whatever they want to call it. And then she just is green half the time. And she, you know, every once in a while she'll do some superhero-y stuff, and you can randomly throw in every once in a while a character from the big shows, you know, whatever. Keep her going.
The sad thing is, right? This is the sad thing. Like, we've forgotten about Moon Knight, and we both enjoyed Moon Knight.
I love that one. Yeah, I really love that one. But you're right. You're right, because it came. So what's funny is as much as I'm like, yes, gimme, because everything's coming at you, you don't really sit and like enjoy things for a while, you know, before the next thing's there. I was totally off topic, and I'm probably going to lose my man card for a second, but I'm a Taylor Swift fan. There it is. Revelation. I'm a Taylor Swift fan. And so she just is a great songwriter. So I wouldn't like go to a concert solo and enjoy it or anything like that. But like, I enjoy her songwriting.
You would be there with your like rubber fingers.
No. But I appreciate her songwriting. But what was interesting is she just dropped this new project like a week ago. Not this last Friday, but the Friday before that. And it's great album, great tracks. And then like a week later, she drops like a deluxe version with like 6 or 7 more tracks. And it's like, why would you bury your first release with the next one? Like, what was the point of dropping the first one then? Yeah. Like, wait a month or 2 months, something. Like, let people just enjoy that. And then this feels like a treat. Half the people didn't even know the first one dropped. Like, you know what I mean? They're just now listening and you've already got a new project. So I use that as an example of like, yeah, like with there being so many things that are coming out, you kind of forget about
Well,
so
yeah, I
many that you've
mean,
already
we're
enjoyed.
gonna forget about She-Hulk as soon as Black Panther drops, right?
I am ready to forget. Like, paint me forgotten. I am so excited for that. And you guys, we're gonna drop another episode whenever we get to both. Well, I mean, that won't be too long from now. So you might have another. You'll go a month and a half without an
Yeah, I
episode, and
know,
then you might
right?
go 2 weeks
Well, then we
with.
have Guardians Christmas after that.
Yeah, and that looks fun. That looks good. And everything feels so significant with Guardians now that you know, like it's coming to an end. You know, it's like, oh, I want to enjoy my time with them. And the trailer for Ant-Man, bro, that was dope. That was a real
I
dope
think I
trailer.
now have the idea of the Ten Rings and the bangle from his Marvel are all related to Kang, and he wants his relics back. And
That sounds legit. That sounds legit. That would make sense. Like
I
I
think
can absolutely see that.
there's more talks around the Eternals coming back. So I think, as I've been whining and crying about the direction and how slow the pace is, I think
Oh, are you starting to see it now?
I'm like, and 2 years later, yeah, I'm starting to see it now.
And what's funny is if this was where it started, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And the only reason we're having this conversation is because what we already experienced, like the highs that it took us to
Yeah.
in the first handful of phases, And now it feels like, all of your star players have retired and you're dealing with rookies and you're hoping you guys can piece together a team.
I think the
And
rookies are going to get annihilated.
they're getting some experience though. They're getting some experience, bro. My fantasy team, by the way, I got 2 fantasy teams this year. One of them that I'm in with a guy I used to be really good friends with years back. He reached out and like we're kind of using it as a way to like reconnect. And I'm number 2 in that league, and it's fine. But the league's dry. No one talks. It's like it's missing all the fun. There's no trades, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then there's another league that I'm in that I've been in for like 7 years now that I started like 7 years ago. I was the commissioner the first year. And then I was like, I can't run this anymore, but I want to keep playing. Another guy, it was all part of our church back then. And so in that league, I suck. Like every year, man. Like after the first 2 years, I was good the first 2 or 3 years. Then like the last 3 or 4 years, man, I start off every year like 1-4, 0-4, 3-5. Like right now, I'm 3-5. I'm literally the Bears record. And going into this week, I had so many guys on bye, and one of my guys that was like my one stud that was helping me win any games, Jamar Chase, got injured, and I'm like, bro, what am I gonna do? And so I got this blockbuster trade with another guy who he had one of the Bears, and I already had David Montgomery, and then I had Justin Fields on my bench, and Fields is actually like scoring points now. And then I was like, oh, he's got Khalil Herbert. All right, I'll take Khalil Herbert. And so then I was like, you know what? Screw this. I want them all. So I got Mooney, Herbert, Fields. I got Chase Claypool from some other random player that I had. I had Mooney already. Oh, and then I dropped my backup tight end and I picked up Cole Kmet, even though he's done nothing. But like he can just sit on my bench and make my bench feel like the Bears. The only one I don't have right now is the Bears defense because, come on.
4-13 for me, 9-8 for you. How we feeling?
My 9-8 feels silly, but 4-13 also feels silly. So I feel
They
like
win 2
it's
more
somewhere
games.
between us. Right. But I mean, they would have to only lose 3 more for me to be right. And I feel like that's not realistic.
Yeah.
I think there's somewhere in between those two. So I would need them to go 6-3 for the rest of this season. And you would need them to go 1-7, right? Or is that math wrong?
I mean,
No.
they're
Something's
3
not
and
right.
5 now, so 1-8.
1-8, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right because it's 9. Mine was 6-3. Yeah.
They traded away their 2 best defensive players.
Yep.
So
defensively, we're screwed. Unless this Jack Sanborn is like the second coming of Brian Urlacher. Although he looked good during the preseason. I'm not calling him, the next hair restoration spokesperson.
Who are they playing this week?
We play. Oh my gosh, my brain just shut down.
We're not on bye, are we?
It's not Detroit, is it? No. Who do we play this week? It's on my calendar.
Looking it up now. Dolphins.
Miami, that's right. Yep. And I just put in a trade to ship Tua. Tua's on my fantasy team, and I'm trying to trade him away because he's just on my bench now. Because I want to play Fields. I can't have Justin Fields score 29 points on my bench last weekend. Like, I cannot have that. My guy scoring 29 points and not being on my starting lineup. Nope, can't have that anymore. No. Yeah. So I'd rather have him start and me lose than him score a lot of points on the bench and me win. That's a dumb statement, but that's also why I am losing. Oh gosh.
All right.
Well, my friend, I don't know about you, but I think this has been another amazing and epic conversation. You got any more you want to add before we shut her down?
No, I think it was good catching up as always.
Yeah.
I think sure. We'll have to connect after Black Panther 2 to get our takes on it, and I don't think Ryan Coogler is going to disappoint with this one. So
I don't either. I'm excited, and I know I'm already planning on seeing it twice. So it's just a matter of when I'm going to see it both times. So we'll get that figured out, and we'll watch it. We'll enjoy it, and then we'll come back here and talk about it with all y'all. So having said that, thank y'all for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to the pod wherever you are enjoying this. And if you did enjoy it, share it with a friend so they can get a chuckle or point and laugh at these grumpy old men who are always complaining or shouting about something. And we'll see you guys back here next time on the Good Dad Bad Dad podcast. Peace. Oh man, good times.